I'm going to give about 2 more minutes, okay, and then I'm going to start. It would be helpful if people could put their video screens on. I like to see who I'm talking to. So JD, JL, could you put your screens on, please? Jiaqi, Jiaxin, Angie, Yunjie, Yiwen, Ying, Huanying, Jia Yitong, can you put your screens on, please? Jitong, could you put your screen on, please? Okay, Angela. Angela, you're in Minecraft land. Yunjie, Yiwen. Yunjie and Yiwen, could you put your screens on, please? Thank you. Yiwen. So we've got 13. Right, seeing as people are there, I'm going to start. I'm just going to shut my door. Okay, so I'm going to start, and I'm hopefully recording this. It will be available to access through Teams. So this is the Young Learners assignment. Okay. Um, so for the Young Learners assignment, you have to answer 2 questions. Each question has a value of 1,500 words. Section 1 contains question 1, and everybody has to answer that question. That is compulsory. And then for section 2, you have a choice. You can answer either question 2 or question 3. Okay. The word count includes everything in the main body of the text, headings, tables, and citations and quotes. Okay. It doesn't include references, appendices, or any footnotes that you want to add at the bottom of each page. Okay. And I always think when you're referring to, say, materials or even video clips or something, it's always a good idea to use screenshots of what you are talking about, and you can actually embed or include the screenshots into the main body of your assignment, so that that you can have refer to them directly. So by a screenshot, I obviously mean something like that, which you would take, okay, and then you would paste it in down there, and then you can normally it would be a picture or something, not just a text, but there's a little screenshot, and you can actually talk about that in the main body. If you use screenshots like that, then they are not included in the word count because they are considered to be like a visual extra. Okay, but that's what I mean by a screenshot. Okay, so just for your information, the basis on which we assess, that is the rubric for assessment, is in Appendix 2. So let me just go down there now and show you that. So here's Appendix 2, and here's the rubric for assessment. So you will be assessed on each of these elements. Focus on the question, literature, understanding, the way you structure and argument, the way you use the data, which is also always a very important one, and expression and referencing. And then you will be given a grade for each of those in each of these areas. from high distinction to merit to fail. Hopefully not too many fails, but that's the rubric, okay, which you can study later. Let's go to the top again. So the assessment deadline is, because this is an optional module, it's 1 week later, so it's actually the 12th of January. And you can find all this information again on Canvas here. Let me just go to Canvas now and show you that, just so that we can see it. So here we are in Young Learners, and if you click on Assessment and Assignment here, okay, and then you can see at the top, oh, wrong one, just a minute, on Assignment, Assessment and Assignment here. Okay, you can see I got many more documents because this is my view, but you can see here all the different documents that you can assess, that you can access. So that's going through into Canvas. Okay, so let's just go back to this. So that's going into Canvas. You will submit your assignments uploaded onto Canvas using SpeedGrader. I won't look at that now, but if you have any problems with that, you can contact me later on. Okay, fine. We'll look at the course, the assignment documentation in a minute, but you need to make sure that your submission is fronted with a cover sheet, okay, which you can find in the assessment section. Let's just go back a minute to that. So down here somewhere, there should be a cover sheet. There, can you see that assignment cover sheet? So you can use that, and you can take that and open that, copy it. You can copy what's inside this and paste it as the front page of your assignment. Okay, so that's it's always a good idea if you can as well. Can you see down here I've got pages? It's much better if you can make sure that each page of your assignment has a page number, which you can automatically put in. If you don't know how to do that, I can show you that separately. Now, obviously, we have over the last couple of years the matter of use of AI and using generative AI. I will look at this in a bit more detail in a minute, but there are some general university guidelines on the use of AI, which you can access by clicking on this link here. The key information is where it says acceptable uses of AI tools. You should study that, make sure you know it, and there is a list of detail here of what makes acceptable use. So again, go back to that at another time and look at it. I have my own rules on that, which I would like you to follow, which we'll look at later. Okay, so that's some of the basic introductory information. And so now let's look at the questions. So question 1, it's about task-based learning with young learners, okay, which we haven't done yet. We'll do it, I think, the week after next, well, in about 3 weeks' time. Explain with reference to the literature your understanding of the term task in TBLT. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Okay, referring to the 4-unit extracts, identify at least 3 activities which might be considered tasks. Okay, and identify activities which are not tasks and suggest ideas how you might change them into tasks for children. Okay, so just look at the suggested word count. You've got the first section here takes up 250 plus 500 words, which is 750 words, and then 750 words here, which is a total of 1,500 words. Okay, So that's the suggested word limit. So let's just have a look at the Appendix 1. So we're going to Appendix 1 now. So let me just scroll down there to Appendix 1. Here you can see Appendix 1, which is taken from some Chinese materials for teaching. They might be similar to some stuff that you're familiar with in your own countries. So we've got Appendix 1, and then we've got this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, which is now a different teaching material. And then we've got this one and this one, and then we've got this one, which is, and this one, and this one, Appendix 1 continued. Okay. And this is also Appendix 1 continued, etc. So you can see there that that's Appendix 1. Okay. And so there's a lot of material there. Your idea is not to comment on all of them, but choose stuff that you think has some task-like features. I should say that not many of those activities in Appendix 1 have complete task-based features. I don't think that inside those materials there is any one which is like a perfect task. So you might actually say, well, this activity has got some elements of task, but it's not really a task, or it's only partially a task. It's fine to have that kind of discussion, and but you would have to make sure you're able to explain it. So do not try to cover all the activities. And there you've got some suggested references for the to use for this particular assignment. I think most of these are on the reading list, accessible on the reading list. If not, you can Google them, but most of these you should get access to. And many of these materials these sources come from materials I am referring to in the sessions each week anyway. So that's the one which is compulsory. Okay. Question 2 and 3 on the following pages. Right. So this one is about TEYL. Okay. And watch 2 short video extracts. Video 1 is Young Learners Primary School class called Protect the Egg. And video 2 is Young Adults Vocational College. Okay. So obviously, we're not really in this module covering teaching adults, but the idea here is for you to compare the 2 different videos, both TEYL videos, and kind of say how they're different. And there's a specific framework here, make reference to content and language integrated learning, and the specific content and language skills of each class. And if you remember, we talked with TEYL with relation to the 4 C's. Okay, the 4 C's. So that can be, in a way, your analytical framework. A strong assignment, as I've talked about, may also like to talk a bit about basic interpersonal communicative skills, BICS, and CALP, cognitive academic language proficiency, which we also talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about translanguaging and stuff. So you could also bring in that in your theoretical discussion of the video. I'll just show you how to access those videos now, if I can find it. Back here, you can see TLY videos for assignment question 2. So this is where you find it. And here we have the Adults Vocational College, and here we have the Protecting the Egg video, okay, for that one. So that's that. Let me go back to the, okay. Now, question 3 is also a video. Okay, it's more of a general video, and it's inviting you to comment on teaching. Identify the aims of the lesson. Identify techniques used by the teacher at each stage, and discuss with reference to the literature how they might promote second language acquisition with young learners. So you'll need to be talking here about frameworks for how we think young learners learn English, which I covered a lot in sessions 1 and 2, and comment how successful the teacher is and why. Okay, so you can see here the aims of the lesson, 50 words, and then the rest of the time is spent 1,500 words, okay, dealing with part 2, 3, and 4, parts 2, 3, and 4 here. So let's just go back to show you how you can access that video. If we go back to, see if I can go, okay. Video for assignment question 3 is this one here. These are other things you will not see. They're only for me, so don't worry about these others. They're not going to be available. So question 3 here. Sorry, the video is a bit small, but this is the teacher. So this is a teacher teaching. Actually, this is a native speaker teaching. In fact, some of the stages are illustrated for you, so it makes it a little bit easier on that one. So that's that. Those are the 2 questions. And again, you have some suggested references here, which I've actually already referred to in my materials for each session, but they are available to you through the reading list. Okay. Right, I'm going to stop there for a minute and just give you a little bit of time to think about if you've got any questions you want to ask me. All right, so it's over to you. Just a bit of thinking time before I move on.
I would like to ask about the screenshot. Like when I take a screenshot about the data, like the video or the extract or something, I will put it in the main body, or I will put it in the appendix and just mention in the main body, like see appendix 1 or something.
No, put it in the main body. You can
Like
actually write your main body around it. I much prefer that. It's much easier for me, the reader. I sound a bit lazy, but you can imagine if you're constantly going back to an appendix and back to the main body, it becomes not very manageable. And nowadays, since we have the ability to do screenshots, it makes sense to use screenshots in the main body. Okay.
and then I will create I put it in the appendix later, or I just create the table of
Um,
pictures.
yeah, if you wanted to, you can. It's a good question that. Uh, in a way, you could have an appendix which is like a complete version of all the screenshots that you have decided to identify. Yeah, and so that can be a summary of all the screenshots or all the points you want to make. But even so, then you can still duplicate the screenshot from the appendix and bring it back into the main body. Which means that I'm being lazy, but I don't have to keep going back to your appendix. And it saves any confusion as well about you doing the labeling, because it saves doing that really. So yeah, but I think it's a good idea to have a complete glossary of screenshots as appendix, but also bring each individual one into the main body when you want to make the specific point.
Yeah. So I will
Okay.
just note under the picture, like appendix 1, and then I will create the appendices later on.
You could
Right.
do. You could also say that if you wanted to. Yeah. That would be
Yeah.
very systematic if you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good question. Any other questions?
Yeah. What about the nature of citing these screenshots?
The nature of citing the screenshots. You don't. All you need to do because these are part of the assignment, so you can just say assignment video one or something like that. You do not need a formal citation for this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have one more question about the question one. Like I can see that we have around 250 for the first question. So we just need to like directly answer the question instead of like introduce something, right?
Yeah, absolutely, that's right. And another very good question, and this often comes up as an issue. You do not need to do flowery introductions which set some kind of general context. Oh, I don't know, uh, the role of task-based learning is under much debate, and in many schools it has been introduced, and some teachers are confused about what it really means. And in Vietnam, there has been a considerable debate, blah blah, all that kind of stuff. You don't need, right? You do not need that. You just go straight in and answer the question, so that you make maximum use of your word limit.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And I would like to ask about I can see that in the question, like it requires us to show the understanding of the word task. So after introduce the kind of the theory about task in task-based learning, like we can we give the examples from the published articles and related to our experience of learning or teaching, right?
Yeah, you can do. Uh, what can I say about that? What would your example look like, Quay? When you give an example there, what would it be?
I just would like to relate it to some the word task. For example, some kind of example task from the published article, like the activity or something, and then to compare it with like it's different from other activities. Like it's not like the activity, and then I can related to my experience like of learning at university or in the teaching like project like carry
Yeah,
out a task in class or
okay.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would. You should. It's another good thing to do. You just have to be careful about what is the size of the word count of the
Mhm.
actual example that you bring into the text. Because if
Yeah.
it's a big explanation of a task, which takes up a lot of words, it might use too much of your word count. So
Yeah.
you would have to give maybe a paraphrase summary of what that task is, so that you
Mm.
can reduce your word count, because remember that would have to be cited,
Yeah.
and citation is part of the word count. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely a good idea to do that, an example of a task. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, any more questions?
You said that the citation is part of the word count. You are saying the in-text citation, right, and not the reference.
Yeah, the in-text citation, whether the citation is a paraphrase actually within a paragraph, or whether it's actually separated out as that word count. Yeah, I'll have a look at that in a minute. Okay.
Mm.
Any
So
more any more questions?
so in regard to the question number one about the task, so it just should be the summary, like the short summary of our understanding. based on understanding of the task based on the theories, right?
Yeah, it should be, yeah. And to be honest, I put 250 words and 500 words there. Those are only guidelines. So if you're finding that your discussion of the term task is going to take longer than 250 words, then you can extend it, but you have to bear in mind the word limit overall, okay? But there is flexibility within these guided word counts.
So we should we like when we do when we present our essay, so should we put the question in it, or we just get like question 1 and answer it, and question 2 answer it? We need to separate each part.
I don't mind how you do that, but you could, if you wanted to, just have give yourself subheadings. Okay, so you could say subheading 1, definition and discussion of task, right? Section 2, 3 task-like activities discussion. Question 3, 2 non-tasks and suggestions. So it's fine for you to add subheadings like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So those 3 subheadings will have a direct relationship to the 3 parts of the question. Yeah. Anything else on that?
I have a question about question A. Is that as we can see, there are a lot of activities in materials in the textbooks, and not all of them are tasks, as you said before. So we only need to like mention the 2 or 3, which is not tasks, maybe drill or exercise, or we need to mention the like okay, this activities belongs to exercises, and some which belongs to
and you would need to explain why that is the case as well. Yeah, so so you can see there are a lot of materials there. You need to in a way sort of first of all skim read through them and decide whether they're definitely not a task and why. And all you've got to do then is find 4 or at least 3 activities which might be considered tasks in some way. Okay, I don't think we can find perfect tasks in these materials at all as a clue, but some which might be considered tasks, or they have some features of tasks. And then, so really what we're talking about here, Amber, is about 5 activities, 3 or 4 which have some task-like features, and 2 or so which do not have.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that it said like as compared with drills or exercises. So do we need to mention these 2 terms in our
yeah, you would.
analysis?
Yeah, you'd need to say why and why they're drills and exercises and why they're not tasks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, can I move on? So we've done the questions and the readings. And then relevant concepts. So all of these concepts I have covered in the module so far. You can see scaffolding, proximal development, emotion. So in a way, there's almost a checklist here of things that you think, oh yeah, I could mention this, or oh yeah, this has some relevance to this, or oh yeah, okay. So these are some of the things that you might want to bring in. Not all of them. You can't think of all of them, but you can use these selectively, and then they are cross-referenced to the session where I talked about them. Okay, so that's just something for you to think about later on. So let's look at some of the practical physical elements that we need to think about. First of all, the line, don't worry about the line spacing. We don't need that actually. Line spacing should be 1.5 spaced. Okay. And you can just do that and do control 1.5 and it makes it 1.5 spaced. Okay. Or if you go control 1, it makes it back. Okay. Or if you go control 2, it makes it 2 spaces. But I just want 1.5. Right. Avoid secondary sources. Here's an example of what I mean. Okay, let's see. Okay, so can you see here that that here lack of language learning, it sometimes seems to, particularly with Hong Kong, where serious. So okay, Chung and Wong said that. They said that, and you want to you want to quote that. But you should not make the quote like you actually read Chung and Wong, because you didn't, did you? Because this Chung and Wong is in this text here, okay? And this overall text, this overall source, is not written by Chung and Wong. Chung and Wong, yes, they are quoted in it, but they are not the actual source. In fact, this extract here comes from this book. So the book that you actually read, and this is your primary source, is Carless. So when you are doing your quotations and your reference list, you must not say that you read Chung and Wong, because you are lying. You did not do that. Actually, the person you read was this book, David Carler. Okay. So if you want to use the Chung and Wong quote, you have to cite it like this. Chung and Wong, 1996, in Carlos D, page 395, for example. That is how you have to cite it. Yeah? Okay. But actually, it's better practice to just use direct quotes. So really, if you want to be truthful and if you really want to use the Chung and Wong quote as a direct source, what you have to do is physically find the Chung and Wong book or journal article and then read it, and then you can add it as a direct source. Okay, so so that's what you should do. Refer to a minimum of 5 sources. By that, I mean 5 individual books or 5 individual articles. And within that, you can refer to 1 or more quotations. Include a balance of direct quotes and paraphrasing. All right. So it's always a good idea to have one or two direct quotes, I think, so that you mix it up. But you can also use paraphrasing as well. Here is a way, here is a link. Here's a link to the citation style. Click on that. And here you can go through and find different ways to cite sources. Okay, that's something for you to do, but there is support here for you to do that. Okay. Make sure you're there's no actual lesson plan in this, so make sure you have page numbers. So I've taken this. Sorry, I've taken this from some. Make sure you have page numbers. Okay. And here is the word limit overall. There is some flexibility on the word limit. So overall, 2,700 to 3,300. And so if you're thinking about each question, you've got 1,500 per question. So you can do 1,500. Sorry, 150 words either side of the 1,500. It's roughly 10%. Okay, 10% either way. So you can contact me on Teams to discuss the assignment. In week 9, I will be doing a follow-up session. Actually, I think we have a physical classroom to this. I will be doing 2 extra support sessions for the assignment, okay, on a Thursday. Let me just go to that for a minute. Course overview document, if we just go through here. So yeah, on Thursday, the 13th of November, and on Thursday, the 20th of November, I have 2 extra sessions on the assignments. Okay, they are at 3 o'clock. I don't think you have classes then. So those are follow-up sessions. And they are physical sessions. And I will do some kind of parallel formative work with you on that. Okay. I will remind you about that during next week or the week after. All right. So that's support. But this document is already available to you in Canvas. Right. And here are some journals you should be looking at. So just the overall assessment documentation, the assignment documentation. These are the pieces you should include. You should have the cover sheet with the word counts, which I have already talked about a little bit. Okay. Then you should have GAI use declaration. This can be as big or as small as you want it to be. This is not included in the word count, but if you're going to use GAI, you have to declare it. It's quite easy for me to spot GAI use because GAI writing is normally better than what I can write. It's certainly C1 or above, and many of you, your own level of writing is IELTS 6. Well, GAI writing is far beyond IELTS 6. So if I see someone writing at the level of IELTS 8, then I think this is impossible. And then I think you've been using GAI, which is okay as long as you declare it. Okay. So the declaration can be like this. I declare that I have used GAI in the process of writing this assignment. I have used GAI in the following sections of my assignment. And you put and then that's not all, I'm afraid, because then if you have used GAI, you need to give a separate appendix, which I'm calling Appendix A. It may be Appendix B or Appendix C. It depends on whether you've used some other appendix, which is what Quay was asking about earlier. But if you have used GAI, there needs to be, first of all, the declaration, and then there also needs to be a GAI appendix. Okay, and I'll look at that in a minute. So you've got cover sheet, declaration, your answer to question 1, your answer to question 2 or 3, which should be on new pages. Drives me mad when students just start the next question just following on. They should be on a new page for the next question, okay? And then appendix GAI use in detail. Let's see if I've done that. I'm not sure if I've done, I hope I have. So these are the assignment questions. Yeah. GAI detail, example GAI detail. This declaration, this appendix should look like a diary journal entry with specific reference made to extracts from the 2 questions of your answer. So I use GAI in accordance with university guidelines in the following way. In assistance for question 1, I use GAI to blah, blah, blah. Here is a screenshot of my GAI prompt, which I use to ask ChatGPT. Here is the response that I got from ChatGPT. And in response to the reading, I modified it and incorporated my ideas, my own ideas. So this is like a diary of how you have used GAI. That's what I expect if you are going to declare that you have used GAI in your writing. Okay? And that's fine. But you need to show and you need to be honest. Because if I find writing which is absolutely perfect and there's no declaration, then I will have doubts about it. Okay. Fine. That's it. That's all I want to say on the assignment. So back over to you for thinking time and questions for a moment.
So when I say that I declare that I use GAI and then I modified it and I cooperate with them, combined everything, like I fix it in the way that I want to write and combine with the theory or something. And do I have to take a screenshot of the part that I wrote by myself with the help of GAI?
No, as long as you've been honest about the process up to that point, that's enough. Because actually, I will see the final product then in the main body of your writing. So, you don't need that. You don't need to go, because otherwise you'll just end up repeating what you've already put in the main body.
Yeah.
And so you don't need that.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm thinking of doing examinations, at least for part of the assessment, to avoid the GAI issue. I'm seriously thinking that for next year. So you're lucky, or maybe not.
If I decide to use the GAI and also include in the appendix the last part of the appendix, like do I will it deduct any points from my assignment or no, right?
No.
Okay.
No deduction for that. No. If you read if you go back to that document I showed you about acceptable uses of GAI, then you can use that as a guideline. But what I add to that is I want evidence. I want evidence of how you have used it. This is the same, by the way, for my other two modules as well. It's not just young learners. I've already mentioned that to the other two modules, I think. Right, 5 seconds. Last chance to ask any questions. This should be recorded anyway for those 3 people who are not here.
It's just I've got a question, but not about GAI. It's about our reading week. So we don't during our reading week we need to I think the main thing we need to do is think about the thing we learned in this module and start to think about our assignment, right?
Yeah. I mean, because you're not only reading about my assignment, you're reading about the other modules as well. So there's plenty of things for you to do. But yeah, reading around it. What I may try and do is I mentioned these are the 2 support activities, support sessions that I'm going to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I may give you a preparation for that, which is like a formative preparation for those activities, which have a direct connection with this assignment question. Okay.
Okay.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop there. We'll finish there. All right. Any questions you've got afterwards, you can send them to me, and have a productive independent study week. Okay. Bye.